Hey everyone, welcome back to the Illumineers Quest podcast where we talk everything Lorcana. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jacob.
And thanks for coming on this journey with us. Okay, we have another famous tier list coming up. But, little twist, this is just going to be a fun one, and we're talking about, this week, bad cards. So, the worst card tier list.
Yes.
In the game.
This is really different. This is not your normal tier list at all. So
this should just be fun, like not taking it too seriously, just have a good couple laughs. But all of these are pretty bad, unplayable cards, and we'll give you some reasons about why that is. And hopefully, though, you can take away some strong thoughts as to why you should include or not include cards in there. So it should be fun on the surface, give you a couple good laughs, hopefully. But then maybe teach you a thing or two about rounding out your deck when you need to think of another card or two to add to it. So yeah, with that said, again, we're Illumineers Quest. You can find us on YouTube at Illumineers Quest, on Twitter at Lorcana Pod. If you have any questions or comments you'd like us to address in future episodes, you can email us at lorcanapod@gmail.com. And if you're watching the tier list on YouTube, please follow us on any of the major podcasting networks like Apple, Spotify, iheart, Pocket Cast, or any of the above. So yeah, let's get into this. So the questions and comments for this week, we don't have anything specific from any direct listener or anybody from Twitter, but we have been noticing a bunch of kind of talk around cheap decks, or I think the way other people are talking about it is budget decks. Mm-hmm. So with Rapunzel being still $55 a card, with Maleficent, Monstrous Dragon still being $35, $40 a card, Elsa in that same range, Mickey Brave Little Tailor's on the cheaper side, but he's still $20 a card, so for a full play set it's incredibly expensive. So there's a lot of barriers to get to some of the most meta decks out there, and the most strong, most powerful decks. So with that said, I've had to make a bunch of compromises in my current deck because I don't have any of those play sets of any of those cards. And so just wanted to really quickly give our 2 cents on that and how you can kind of work around not having play sets of all the strongest cards.
Yep.
So I think I've said this a couple times, but currently I'm playing Emerald Steel, which doesn't use any of the legendaries from either of those sets. So Emerald focuses around, really annoying questers. So the Emerald's kind of your questing win condition.
Yes. With
Cusco and Hans and
Hatter.
And Mad Hatter's a good one depending on what you're doing. And then Flynn Rider's, another
Cheshire.
I think really good one. And then Jasper, which is another very annoying one to deal with. So Jasper, has the ability to keep an opponent from questing next turn if he's on the board. And so or when he quests, and so that's a fun one to slow your opponent down and have a really good trade, because he only quests for 1, but he could potentially take 3 lore away from your opponent.
Yeah.
So, no legendaries there. Cusco is still incredibly powerful and pretty pricey, I guess, in the whole scheme of what the cards we're considering. I think he's $12 or $13 a piece, maybe even a little bit more expensive, but again, given the circumstances, I think he's a good one to do.
If he was if you were to spend a little bit on maybe you pulled 1, and you just need a few more or something like that, it's
a lot cheaper to fill out a Cusco deck than something else. And
Yeah.
then on the steel side, so the way that I play my deck at least is Emerald's the questers and the ones that get you to your lore goal, and then the steel side of it is the card draw and challengers of the deck. So you have Hook and Prince Eric to be the quester, or to be the challengers early on in the game to keep you in it and to keep the board kind of clear. Then later on you've got the really powerful songs with A Whole New World and Grab Your Sword, which are both very good to draw 7 cards and to deal 2 damage to every card on the board. And then if you're lucky enough to have enough Tinkerbells, she's kind of pricey too, on the high end of the super rare side. But same deal, I think if you have 2 or 3 of her, it's still worth putting in the deck and filling the rest of it out with something else. But so I think the 2 main that I would focus, or that I personally focus on, is Emerald and Steel, because you can avoid the legendaries in those sets and still be in a pretty good position. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
I mean, my favorite would be just one cost aggro. I mean, my favorite is Ruby Amethyst aggro because you can work it in with evasive and stuff like that. So, and evasive are, I mean, besides Brave Little Tailor, are all on the cheap side. So,
evasive is a good strategy. I know we've talked about that a bunch in the past. It can be really annoying to deal with evasive characters, so that's a good option.
And it's not a deep deck, or like if you're playing against some of the best, it's not going to be the best. But if you're just playing basic decks basically and not super complicated, it's probably the best.
Yeah, I think that's another good option too. And when we say Amethyst, and some of the more seasoned listeners out there might hear Elsa and Ursula.
Yep.
And you don't use those. I mean,
No.
it's not a strategy built around that. I think Amethyst is a very good option to go with as well, depending on what you're trying to pair it with. So Amethyst is obviously the best card draw ink. We've talked probably 50 times about that already. But you have the ability to card draw really well in Amethyst with Rafiki and Zeus, and even the small challenger Facilier. You have some really good challengers, slash board control cards, and so you don't have to use Amethyst to build up into Elsa or to be ready for Ursula or some of the more expensive cards. So yeah, I think my strategy would be to focus around Emerald, Amethyst, or Steel probably, and try to come up with some sort of questing powerhouse slash card draw slash damage dealer with Steel, and kind of focus in that realm. So you can definitely do it. I know there's a ton of videos out there on YouTube, and a couple podcasts I've seen too that have gone in depth into really good cheap decks. And so if you're looking for something specific or any card lists, just search that on YouTube and you should be fine. But yeah, we just wanted to touch on that since we've had a ton of conversations around cheap decks, because we're all affected right now. We've heard that the second wave is going to come at the beginning of October, so we're kind of waiting to get more product. Neither one of us have really got anything meaningful since the middle of August when it came out at the local gaming store. So yeah, we're unable to finish our decks too, so it's affecting us as well. But hopefully that kind of helps you, guide you in the right direction if you're not able to get all those play sets of the big legendaries. But yeah, so all right, card of the week. My turn this time. So
falls upon you.
Yeah, I am going with Jasper. We just talked about him. A few days ago on Twitter said Jasper was low-key the GOAT, and I think the applause behind that was way more than I expected. Everybody else was like, I don't even think it's low-key. I think he's incredible. And so, we talked about it a little bit. So Jasper is an Emerald card that is 3 cost that quests for 1, but his big draw, or his big power, I guess, is the ability to stop opponents from questing. He's also got 4 willpower.
Yeah, it's whenever he quests.
Yes.
Chosen opponent character cannot quest.
Correct. And I think the really benefit of that is that he can be extremely annoying to deal with, because he only does 1 lore, and so on the surface he's not very annoying, but he's got 4 strength, and so cards even strong challengers like Rafiki, or other challengers that might come in like a Hook or an Eric, can't take him out in 1 shot, and so he usually gets overlooked because I don't want to spend 2 turns trying to take this out, or in Hook's instance is gonna die from it. You have the annoying decision to make to expend a ton of resources into him to get him off the board, because you can't just leave him there.
You're gonna have to use a bigger card like Zeus, or some of Maui, some of those bigger cards to take him out, which in the long run will benefit you, because not questing your most valuable card is going to be a big deal. But
I would recommend taking him out sooner rather than later, even if you have to expend multiple resources to do it, because I've played a couple games recently where my opponent left Jasper on the board, and towards the end of the game, he's keeping Rockstar Stitch from questing, or keeping that's probably that game sticks out in my head very well, or even Ursula, Ursula you don't want to attack with because she's only got 2 strength. So but she quests for 3, and so you want her to just sit there questing. But if you stop her, then she's kind of, she has to attack Jasper twice to take him out.
It's also really nice that, like, if there's a character with an ability, like, whenever this character quests, it does this, you can stop it from questing, so that ability doesn't activate.
Yeah, so I think, and so maybe I was wrong. Maybe people aren't sleeping on Jasper, but I think Jasper is, if you're playing Emerald, I think he's a must. I think he's a really fun card to play because he can be a huge target. He can be a huge deterrent.
For 3 costs, he can be a huge target, giant target.
For 3 costs, I agree. So that's my card of the week. And then as we get into the last intro segment here on what's on our mind, what do we have coming forward? I think I kind of already touched on it, but new cards. We played last night. And we kind of really traded around for the first time with each other. And I think we're all in the boat of, we really just want to be able to buy more cards.
Yeah, I think we've touched on this in the news maybe like a few times here and there, like around it. But it really is, like, it's just unfortunate. There's a lot of people in our community that are taking advantage of people spending a lot of money on boxes right now, and that's what's unfortunate.
I will say there was one really good shining light funny story in this that I want to do real quick. There was a person in our local community that found starter decks at a local store, Walmart. So for those who know Walmart, it's a massive store, and he went and hid starter decks around the store and posted in a local group that said, hey, if you want starter decks, message me privately and I will tell you where I hid them so that scalpers can't get them. I thought that was like an actual legend in the making.
Yes, absolutely. That's what's going to keep us all together and keep us a strong community.
So hopefully, again, I mentioned, the second wave is supposed to come the beginning of October sometime. So hopefully we're able to buy some more cards. Also, hopefully that drives some single prices further down. I'm really wanting to play an Amber deck. I need Rapunzel. Without Rapunzel, it's very hard to draw in Amber, and so I really want to finish my playset of Rapunzel. And so I think that we're kind of tiding ourselves over. We just talked about the need for some cheaper budget decks, but on the flip side, I really want to be able to play the decks I want to play, because I think I've had some cool concepts in some of the decks I've built, like on the app. And so, it would be fun to do it. I think we're right on the cusp, which is why I wanted to talk about it, is because I think like next week we might be getting some more. We might have the opportunity. So it is right around the corner. But can't come soon enough.
Nope. I mean, I want to play my Brave Little Tailors and my Elsas and Maleficents and Bells. And I mean, that's where the game really gets exciting. Yeah,
it just, we've both played on the computer a few times with some of the more... impactful cards, I guess, those ones that could, like Belle, that can like really shift the game. And it's just, I would love to do that as we're playing it live with all of our friends, and just throw one of those down and throw a boom roasted out and move on, because it would be so much fun. But so hopefully everybody's holding out well. I hope everybody else is having better luck than we are, because we're really drowning in the fact that we can't find any cards. But
don't give in to the high prices.
Fingers
just
crossed.
Wait.
Don't buy from scalpers. There should be more product coming soon. So, okay. With that said, let's jump into this tier list. Okay. So, again, hopefully this should be a fun one. So the tiers for this are better options, meaning it's not like inherently a terrible card, but if you're playing this ink type or this card cost, there's probably an option that you can pick that's going to be better or more beneficial to your deck. Not good. It's like, probably don't play it. If, again, if we're talking budget decks and you need to play something, like, sure, this might work for if you're in a pinch. Bad, probably don't consider this one. I don't, there's definitely options that you can find that are better out there. Don't play. It's straightforward. Just don't play these cards. Yep. And Automatic L, we have deemed these cards with our authority that if you ever put these cards in your deck and you play them, you automatically lose said match. Mm-hmm. So I know we have a ton of authority and we've gotten that signed off on. So just listen to us and know that that is in fact
We've
a
contacted
written
local
rule.
gaming stores. They say if they see these
Yep.
cards in play, you're gone.
We have granted authority all over the Lorcana community with this. So,
Yep.
Okay. We have them grouped up into ink types here. Ruby has the most. We went a little crazy on Ruby, unfortunately. I think, though, that probably ends up being because Ruby is so defined and so strong that a lot of these other cards end up being like...
Don't make sense.
Yeah, just don't consider that. So, first off is the red Moana. You know, I think when Moana's talked about, she's obviously talked about mainly in the Amber set, but there's also one that gets overlooked in Ruby. That's Moana Cursed by the Ocean. 5 cost inkable, 2 strength, 6 willpower, will quest for 2. Her ability, though, is just a head scratcher. It's when you play this character, you may banish chosen character named Taka. So that's incredibly specific.
I would guess that they thought that like Steel Legendary Taka was gonna be really meta.
I mean, there's another one in Ruby as well. There's 2 Takas, and so it's not like there isn't a Taka, but the scenario that is useful is so specific because both of those Taka cards are extremely expensive, meaning from like an ink standpoint. And so it just, you'd have to play it late in the game. You'd have to play it at the right time because if you play it before that, then it's not helpful. So I don't know. I think this is just like the 2 strength, 6 willpower, 2 quest is like okay. 5 cost is a little high. So like I'm kind of thinking just like bad.
Yeah, bad.
Okay, we'll go with bad. I think, you know, if it maybe cost 4, like maybe you could consider it like just a not good or maybe a better option. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So next up we have Scar, the Fiery Apurser. I don't even know how to say that. Urspur. Somebody please correct me on that one. Yeah, I don't even know. It's the 4 cost, 5 strength, 3 willpower Scar.
Yep, the one that's engulfed in flames.
Yeah, I clearly need to learn English better. He quests for 1. He's 4 cost. With 5 strength, 3 willpower, he's clearly a challenger.
Yeah.
But he's in the Ruby deck with Maui.
And Gaston.
So explain to me where he fits then.
So I would say, though, if you looked at it as a single card, right, and just looked at it, I would say that it is a decent card, but with Ruby, so for me, I'd put this in better options.
See, I would say, okay, we'll put it in better options.
Because there are technically
there is that it's better options, but I think like if it cost 3, I mean, Gaston, and again, I know we're comparing him to cards that are better options, but Gaston costs 2 and does 5 damage. I know he's reckless, and so he can't quest, but I don't know. I think at 4 ink, it's a little overpriced. I don't know. I mean, and then he's only got 3 strength, and so he can be smashed right away. He can just get taken out. So I don't know. I would kind of hedge towards
not good's fine.
Not good. We'll leave him better options because I think you're right. I think it's okay, but given the circumstances. Okay, so speaking of Takas, we're moving on to Taka the Burning One in Ruby as well. He is reckless, so he can't quest. He's incredibly strong with 8 strength, 6 willpower, but he's 6 cost, and I think the thing that does it for me is he's uninkable. So if you think about like Ruby decks, you're already playing Dragonfire, you're already playing Be Prepared. So there's two cards that you're already playing that are uninkable. So I don't think that it's just very good. I just think there's so many better options. And again, there's not very many cards in play where you need 8 strength. Maui, again, with the 6 strength is going to take out just about anything you need him to take out. And so there's not a huge need for that additional strength. So I think that I just don't know where he fits. So I'm definitely going just not good on that one.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
It isn't good. Yeah.
All right. Well,
I completely agree. Yeah.
Okay. Straight up. Poison Apple. I know I did it for the audio listeners. I just dragged it on there without saying anything. But okay, Poison Apple, also in Ruby. 3 cost, uninkable. He's an item, but the item is banish this item, or pay 1 ink, banish this item, exert chosen character. If princess character is chosen, then banish her instead. So it's an item, but you can only use it once. So it's basically an action, aside from the fact that it can sit on the board until you're ready to use it.
So it's technically like a 4 cost kind of action.
Yeah, because 3 to play it, 1 to use it. There are much better options to exert chosen characters. I think the Elsa in Amethyst is the best example of that. There's another action in Amethyst as well that does it. If your opponent isn't playing princess characters, why?
The best this golden era it's about to have in Chapter 2 is Cinderella and Belle.
Okay, that's a good point.
And I think because those cards are going to be everywhere.
That's a really good point, actually. Okay, you're making me even. You're making me even think if this is a bad card.
That's
okay.
Of right now,
it's uninkable.
It's not good.
It's uninkable. It's not good. Maybe if you start to just see Rapunzel's left and right, you want to play it. I still don't think it's even that good because Rapunzel's not incredibly annoying to deal with. You make some good points in the future, so maybe we revisit this in the future, but as of today, I just can't get behind this card.
And yeah, I mean, it's like I think Chapter 2, this is going to be maybe seen a lot more than it is now.
Potentially. It's a good point. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Sword of Truth. Automatic L.
Let's read it out. I'm not sold on being automatic L, but go for it.
4 cost, uninkable. So again, strike against it.
Yep.
It is an item, and the item says banish this item. So again, it's an item that can only be used 1 time. Mm-hmm. And what it does is banish chosen villain character. So it's like just a really bad Dragonfire. Like like if your opponent is playing princesses, or your opponent is playing, I don't know, like Amber Steel, that there's very few villains used. Yeah. Like you're not getting any value from it unless it's Ursula or Maleficent or
now again, this is a card like Poison Apple that could get a lot better. But now we don't have necessarily like a super meta villain deck in any specific color.
I mean, Facilier is the one, like Amethyst is the one that I could give, a little bit to. But again, I think the situational need is so high. If you're playing somebody that doesn't have villains, this is literally a useless card that is uninkable.
Yeah, and
until there becomes the most powerful deck or the most powerful meta deck being a straight villain deck of some sort, I just can't see this having any value at all.
Okay, you've convinced me. Automatic L.
Okay. All right, so that's a quick recap on Ruby. We have Scar, the one that I don't know how to say, at better options. We have the Taka burning one at not good. We have Maui, or not Maui. Gosh, Moana. I have Maui on the mind.
Give me your Disney card.
We have Moana, chosen by the ocean, at bad. We have Poison Apple at don't play, and Sword of Truth, automatic L.
We did not do that on purpose, by the way. One in each category.
We did not pre-plan that. Okay, so moving on to Steel. We've only got 3 Steel cards. I think these aren't near as bad as you get some of those rubies, but the first one up is the Aladdin in Steel, which definitely gets overlooked because of the other Aladdins. But Aladdin, Corn Swordsman, 2 cost, inkable, 2 strength, 1 willpower, quests for 2. So when I think about cheap cards that quest for 2 like that, I think about Lilo, I think about the Maleficent and Amethyst that quests for 2. And then being 2 cost, though, I think there's another option in Sapphire. The Aurora that you can shift onto is a 2 cost, 2 strength, 2 willpower with also quests for 2. And so I tend to go like not good. I could also be persuaded for better options.
That's where I'm thinking is better options. Because I think if you look at it straight from value, I think 2 cost for 2 lore, if you just look at it like that, it's still very good value, even though there's cards that do 1 cost for 2 lore.
Well, I can. That was my initial thought too. Was better options, and what I mean by better options is the cheap cards and steel are just such good fighters that if you don't use those and you're using steel, I don't know what you're using to fight. So, Hook, Prince Eric are incredible fighters. Then at like 3 cost even, you have Hans and Hercules. Hercules with bodyguard, Hans with when he quests, he does 1 damage. And so again, I don't know, like you're not going to use him to fight, you're going to use him to quest, but then you're taking away a fighter, which is the whole point of steel. So I don't know where he fits into steel.
We could put not good. Not good's fine.
Okay, here let's do this. I'm going to move him to not good because I'm moving Goons to better options.
And that's our next card. So.
Yeah, so Goons is my next one. Again, Goons is a 1 cost, 2 strength, 2 willpower card that is very comparable against all the ink types. Mm-hmm. They all have one that's in this. You have like Duke of Wesselton, you've got Archimedes, you've got
Sergeant Tibbs.
Yeah, Sergeant Tibbs. So there's so many options, and so this isn't a bad card. But again, if you're playing steel, I would say Simba, I would say Captain Hook, I would say Prince Eric. Like there's so many cheap options that are just better and more useful to play in steel that if you're playing Goons, I hope there's a good reason for it.
Yep. Maybe there's some Maleficent synergy down the line that could give him a boost. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll find out. I think all of these cards in general are, comboing is where a lot of their, strength comes in. Like Lilo, for instance, is a pretty, I think subpar card without Simba. Yeah. Because Lilo, she's going to quest for 2, but then she's gone. Yeah. But with Simba, it's incredibly annoying. So, we'll see in the future when more stuff comes. Okay, last one in steel. We have Kronk, the right-hand man, to Yzma. But he's a 6 cost, 6 strength, 6 willpower, quests for 2. So, again, on the surface, he's fine. I think there's probably just better options out there.
You put him better options, okay.
Where would you put him?
I put him bad.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. Give me your explanation behind that.
I just think we'd be talking if it was 3 lore. Like, that'd be really good because it would be really tough to get rid of. But I don't know. I just think like a Maui takes rid of this at 5. Like, I just think, I don't know. To me, it's bad. Like,
the only reason I went higher was because 6 strength, 6 willpower, like that's very unheard of.
So you want to do not good then? We can compromise it not good?
Yeah, you know what? Let's compromise it not good. I think he's fine. Again, I think that there are just so many other ways to fill out your deck. I think him being 6 cost, when you get up into like the 6, 7, 8 cost of a card, it has to bring you really, really strong value. Meaning it has to have a really solid reason to be on the board. If I think of like the best 6, 7 cost cards, it's most of the shift ones. So like Stitch Rockstar, incredible abilities behind it. You've got the Aladdin Heroic Outlaw, one of the best cards in the game at 7. You have at 6, you've got in the steel ink as well, you've got the Big Tink, which shifts, again, has incredible abilities. And so I just think it's a kind of a vanilla card. And so I think maybe if you dropped this to like 5 ink cost, it would be incredible. Like I think it would be really
3
really
lore would be a big deal too.
Yeah, so I think it's just kind of vanilla. I think when you're playing 6 cost cards, you have to really really get your value, and I just don't think it brings it.
Yep.
Okay, are we finished steel? So again, I think, there's a couple other options for steel, but I think there are so many different ways to play steel that there isn't any like direct, this is just a bad card. Yeah. And so steel's pretty strong, but we put Goons at better options. I think Simba and then Captain Hook are going to fill that Goon slot. Aladdin, the Cornered Swordsman at not good, and then Kronk, right-hand man at not good. And now we move on to Amber, and I'm going to do this just so I can let you go. First card in Amber that we're going to talk about is the Ariel, not the good one, the on human legs that is voiceless. I give you the floor.
Okay. So, you know me, I do my research for, like, before the game was officially released.
Yep.
I did not, like, I did all the research I possibly could. For some reason, I missed this one, and I opened my starter deck, because I was like, oh, I'm going to be an Amethyst Amber. That's going to be, like, that's what I'm all about. Like, I'll do that starter deck, because there was a starter deck tournament later that night on release day. So, like, all right, Amber Amethyst. I saw this card and it made me rethink everything. It was ink every time. I'm never playing this card ever. It has an ability. It's not a vanilla card, right? It has an ability.
Well, explain it and then we'll.
That's what I'm saying. The ability makes the card worse. It makes it worse. Like, there is nothing good about this ability. It can't sing.
It actually won't allow you to sing songs. So it is actually an inability versus an ability.
What is the point of that? This would be... No.
Are we throwing this in automatic?
Yes, because if your opponent is playing this, and this is advice to everyone, if you're playing this, your opponent is feeling really good about themselves. Like...
I mean... To fill it out here, it's a 4-cost inkable card, 3 strength, 4 willpower, quests for 2. So I think if you take away the disability that's given to her, it's kind of a vanilla card that's okay. But to Jake's point, I don't understand. Like, is that a joke? Like, were they literally laughing when they did that?
Yes.
Okay. Automatic L. Ariel on human legs.
This I wish there was a 6th tier. The worst one, like Ariel specific.
Okay, so Sebastian and Amber as well. We can talk about this. I'm moving him to better options to start with here, and the reason I move him to better options is because Sebastian's a 2-cost card. He can sing for 4, so he's a singer with the singer ability, and so he can sing cards that cost more above him.
Wait, so are you telling me this card can sing?
Yes.
I come from being an Ariel fan. That's non-existent. So thank you.
But here's the kicker. So he can sing, but most good songs that you would want him to sing are 5 costs. Mm-hmm. So I know that there's a very meta, what they call Steel Song deck out there right now, and the thought is to get Ariel on the board fast, who can sing 5-cost cards, and then you sing Grab Your Sword, you sing A Whole New World. You sing those 5-cost songs that are really powerful, that come out really early in the game, that can really hinder your opponent. The problem I see with Sebastian is he can only sing 4-cost cards, and those are 5-cost cards. So obviously there's other songs out there that cost 3, like Mother Knows Best or Friends on the Other Side, or the first 2 that come to mind that cost 3, and he could sing those. I just don't see the synergies there where it's important enough to be the singer in your deck.
Yeah. Again, with all of these cards except Ariel, they have options to get better down the line. Like there could be
if you release some 4-cost songs.
Yes.
I think you're fine. I think as of now, given the cards, I think he's not good. And I moved him from better options to not good. I just convinced myself he was worse than he was.
Yep.
Because he's got 2 strength, 2 willpower, quests for 1. His ability makes him 2 cost, but that ability, like we just kind of said, is not useful right now. So.
Yep.
Dinglehopper.
All right. So this Dinglehopper is
a 1-cost amber card. It is an item. It is inkable. But it's straighten hair is the ability, and it's exert to remove 1 damage from chosen character.
So I'm going to put this in don't play.
I am 100% on board.
I will say it is nice that you don't have to exert an ink. Like at least they didn't do that.
I think 1 damage is so minimal though in most circumstances.
And now we have cards coming out that when they heal, they can draw, they can do dirt, things on top of it. So, there's so many better options.
I think the one exception to this might be if you're doing some sort of, item Tamatoa deck of some sort.
Yes. Or,
throw in Maurice into that, and the Ariel that's in Sapphire can help. But that's like very, 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 very specific. And in general, in Amber, there's so many better cards with damage removal. You've got the main one being Rapunzel, obviously, and so I just don't see a place where you should play this in Amber. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, I agree.
All right, last one in Amber is the last card of the Amber set, which is Ursula's Shell Necklace. It's an item that says whenever you play a song, you may use 1 ink to draw a card. So, again, if your point is card draw, then that's fine, but there's so many modifiers to make that even possible. You have to play a song. I mean, you have to have a song. You have to have enough ink.
You're spending 2 cards to draw 1 card.
Yes. And again, like if you're playing this early on, then maybe like later on down the line, like turn, so it's a 3-cost uninkable card. Uninkable, that's, got a strike against it too. So maybe you do play this turn 3, and by turn 7, you're wanting to do something, and you're singing, and you're using this card. But again, there's just so like if you're wanting to draw cards on turn 7, play Surfer Stitch. That's what you do. You don't play Ursula's Shell Necklace. It's uninkable.
Automatic L.
Okay, good, because I was in the same boat.
Okay.
Automatic L. I'm even putting it ahead of Ariel for you on automatic L.
No, she's the worst card in the game.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
These are the worst cards in the list.
Okay,
so it's ahead of her in the worst card. So I'll leave Ariel at the worst one down there for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that finishes Amber. We've got Sebastian at Not Good. We've got Dinglehopper at Don't Play. And then the first ink set to have 2 automatic L's. The Ursula Shell Necklace and Ariel on Human Legs that cannot sing cards.
Move on. Just get out of here.
All right.
Let's move.
Moving on to Amethyst. There's a few cards in here, and I think they're kind of fine. But again, Amethyst is so strong that you're just going to end up with a lot of better options. And so the first one that we have on this list is an Elsa. It's not Elsa Snow Queen. It's not Elsa Spirit of Winter. It's the third Elsa, Queen Regent. She's 4 cost, 4 strength, 4 willpower. So a decent card. But again, I don't know what slot this is going to fill unless you're trying to shift onto her. But even if you're doing that, pick the other Elsa. Pick Elsa Snow Queen.
And with that explanation right there, I'm going to go with better options. Because I do think she's there to shift for Elsa, and there are better options. And I think she's still giving you, like, decent stats. Like, 4/4's okay. I just think that there are, like, better options.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's fine. I think the stats are good.
Even the Ruby Elsa is better, I think. So
I think this one is in line with, a couple other cards. I mean, it does a lot of damage if you really, really need a fighter. 4 damage is going to do you a lot of good, but I would also consider, like, in Amethyst, you have Rafiki, who does 3 damage and has Rush. You have Zeus, who can rush in and challenge for 4 damage. And so I think those are just better options in general. There's nothing wrong with this card if you, again, are in a pinch and building a budget deck.
It is inkable.
Go for it. It is inkable.
So unlike Zeus,
I think they're better options. So, yeah. Okay, yeah, I mean, I would agree. I don't have any qualms with that being better options. Then you move on to the next one, which is the Wardrobe, Belle's Confidant in Amethyst, 3 cost, inkable, 3 strength, 4 willpower, quests for 1. It's super vanilla, and I don't know what role it plays.
I would put it in not good. That's kind of where I'm.
I would put
bad's fine. Bad is okay if you put it bad.
Okay, I'll put it bad. Just I think it could be not good. I'm putting it bad for people not listening, just to even out the tiers.
So, the Elsa we just talked about, is around the same stats, costs 1 more, but she's building to something.
Has the shift potential.
Yes, and the Wardrobe, I don't think there's ever going to be a Floodborn Wardrobe. I could be wrong, but
I don't know what role she plays. I mean, I guess with the 4 strength, she can stay on the board a little longer than some. But again, if you're going to use her to challenge, you have Rafiki, Zeus, if you're going to use her to quest, she only quests for one. So what's the what are you trying to accomplish with her being on the board? I don't know. I don't see any point.
Maybe,
so yeah, I
maybe
think
we should start pushing for a Floodborn wardrobe. Like let's just.
I mean, we could make it better that way.
Let's go for it. Ravensburger, Floodborn wardrobe. It's all we want.
Okay. Freeze. Action and Amethyst, 2 cost, uninkable. So again, there's that check against it. It says exert to chosen opposing character, which is the ability of Elsa Snow Queen. So that right there is strike 2 for me.
But this is exert chosen character, and it readies the next turn, unlike freeze or
no. So the Elsa Snow Queen one you can exert, and they do ready.
Oh, you're saying Snow Queen,
Snow Queen, not Spirit of Winter. So the reason that I have it, and I would say this is probably bad too, is because it's not inkable. Strike 1. You only have so many slots in your deck that are uninkable. They're very precious, and so for you to throw it away on something like this seems pretty tough, especially when you have a character that is inkable that does have this stat on there. So that's the biggest one for me. I think the action is good. It's not that the card or what it is doing is bad. It's just the stats around the card.
I mean, it's going to do what it's going to do for cheap. It's going to go take out an ink drying card, and that's...
You trying to get me to move this to not good?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move it to not good. And the reason, I think I'm okay with that too, because again, I like what it does. I just don't like the stats around it. I think there are better ways to accomplish this.
Yep.
So
I agree.
Okay, reflection. I never hear a single person talk about this. Reflection is a 1-cost inkable action song in Amethyst, and it's look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put them back on the top of your deck in any order. I don't see the point. I mean, I know that there are better options in Amethyst. Like you have Ursula's Cauldron, but it's an item and stays on there every turn. And so it's Ursula's Cauldron is look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one at the top of your deck and one at the bottom. So it's a little different, but it's an item, can be used every turn. So I don't know. I think I would put this in bad, maybe don't play.
I would say don't play.
Okay. I was right around that area too. I think don't play is fine.
Don't play, yeah.
It's a weird one for me. I mean, it being a 1-cost song is kind of strange. I mean, I guess anybody can sing it then, and if you're playing like a super heavy control deck and you want to like really be able to shuffle your deck while you're playing, like you could do it, but
if you're really trying to get like 1 card to win you the game, then sure.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. I think if it were an item, then I would think it would be super playable. It's not there for me. So, okay, so that finishes up Amethyst. We've got the Elsa, the 4-cost Elsa at better options. We've got the freeze action at not good. We've got the wardrobe at bad, and reflections that don't play.
All right.
So moving on to Emerald, the last one. This one kind of pains me, and I guess I'm already kind of just jumping into it. And the reason it pains me is because Iago is on the list, and I wanted so bad to be able to build a deck with Iago and make it good, and I just couldn't do it. It was bad.
Yep.
I think the reckless. So
and we're putting him into a don't play for the audio
sorry,
listeners.
I'm just kind of
You're
irritated.
Fine.
3 ink cost, is inkable, 1 strength, 4 willpower. The Loudmouth Parrot has the ability that says exert, chosen character gains reckless next turn. They can't quest and must challenge. What I was trying to do when using Iago was replace John Silver with that ability to give somebody else rush. I think the problem is that you have to play him and then exert him the next turn, and so you lose the sense of urgency that you get with John Silver, because John Silver has that same ability, but it's whenever you play this character and whenever he quests. So you get to do it and getting that ability right away. And on top of that, you have the action, The Beast is Mine in the set, that chosen character gains Reckless their next turn. And so if the whole point of playing Iago is to use that ability, the fact that he has to exert to do it and doesn't do it just once when it gets played is what just breaks it for me, and he's just bad. Don't play it.
Yep. I think it would have been really awesome if we could have got some Jafar synergy. Like maybe. I mean, that would have been a different way to look at it.
Maybe if Jafar's on the board, you can do it when he's played. I don't know. That would have been fantastic.
I mean, it's disappointing, you know.
I think so too.
It's the forgotten Aladdin character card in this.
I really did. I had him in my deck for 2 weeks. I tried to make it work. I just ended up inking him every time.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't useful. Okay. Moving on. In Emerald here, we've got Jumba Jacubia. I think that's right.
Jacuba.
Jacuba.
No, Jacuba. Okay.
Jacuba. I like that too. Whatever.
Jacuba?
Yeah. Tell us how to say it. Somebody that's better at this than we are. 5 cost, 4 strength, 5 willpower. Quests for 2. The only thing against this is there's 2 5-cost cards in Emerald that are much, much better. Cusco and Mad Hatter are so much better. They quest for 3.
So better options?
I would almost just say not good. I mean, because even again, like with the conversations we had in some of these other ones, like when you get into 5 costs, it has to like really have a value, and it's questing for 2. But again, there are better options. But it just, aside from being on the board and questing from 2, like Cheshire's at 3 and quests for 2. Flynn's at 2 and quests for 2.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have any ability to take anything off the board. I think there are better options, but again, given the larger context, it's just not good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. This one is a weird one. I kind of just threw this one in here. So the Tamatoa in Emerald, he's a 2 cost, 1 strength, 4 willpower, drab little crab. Quests for 1. I put this one in here because I think he has better options. The thing I like about it, and the reason I say that is he's 2 costs with 4 strength. And so grab your sword, smash, don't take him off the board right away. And so it's kind of like a cheap quester that can be annoying.
And that's all there is, you know? It's like,
exactly.
That's all there is.
Exactly. And then you consider having Flynn, which we have already talked about very extensively. You have Cheshire Cat, which we've already talked about extensively. You've got even Cruella, which I don't use very much in my Emerald deck. I know a lot of people do. And so I think there's much better options out there. I like the fact that he does have 4 willpower, but I just don't think that's enough to overcome the other options in the ink.
I agree.
Okay. And the last one on the list, as we wrap this up, we move on to Stampede, which at the surface I like, but then you read the fine print, and I think there have been very many times where our group has played this wrong, because Stampede is a 1 cost, uninkable, strike 1, and it says deal 2 damage to opposing character. That's great, with the caveat that I left out of the chosen character has to already be damaged.
Makes no sense.
It doesn't. There's so many, like...
Automatic L or don't play?
I'll go automatic L for the memes. I mean, shoot.
Speaking of memes with this card, have you seen the meme ability on this card that people have tried to create in Petition?
I have not.
It's instantly banish Mufasa.
Okay, if it said that, that'd be hilarious. I think it can be useful in the sense, like, if you attack and then use this right away, like, I get it, like, it's fine. But it's uninkable, and again, like, if you're talking cards in the set that are uninkable, you have Mother Knows Best, that's uninkable. You have Cusco, that's uninkable. And so you're already, like, getting up into 2 cards. Beast is uninkable. I know Beast is used in a couple decks. I just don't see you being able to put another uninkable card in the deck. So... And then the fact that they have to be damaged is just like such a hurdle of a qualifier that has to be, like, Fire the Cannons doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. So anyways, yeah, I think it's just an automatic L. I think you just, for the memes, you automatic L it because it shouldn't be that many qualifiers on it. Okay.
Alrighty.
That wraps it up. So for the audio listeners for Emerald, we have Tamatoa, the little crab and better options. We've got Jumba Jacubia. I'm sticking with that one this time, and not good. We've got Iago and don't play, and we've got Stampede and Automatic L, and you take the loss.
Alrighty. So this was a fun one. I enjoyed it.
Hopefully you got a couple laughs. I like the Automatic L. But again, I think, broad spectrum, like hopefully this helps people to think about like the options that they're putting in the deck and the thought process behind why you should or shouldn't use some cards in general too. Now,
if you absolutely love one of these cards, let us know why. I would like to hear. Like, think of this synergy. Think of this option that would.
If you can come up with a reason why Ariel on human legs is good, let us know.
I won't listen, but Zach will.
I will get the email and read the email so that he doesn't have to.
He'll read it. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.